Hello there and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show. I'm also the executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Thrilled today, episode 20 of Mind Your Business, and we are talking all about the Chamber. So just to give you a little bit of a background, this was a show that we were talking about doing starting in the fall, and it was a show about and for business in Georgina in connection with Rogers TV Georgina. And of course, when the pandemic hit, when businesses were desperate for information, for finding out resources, financial aid, information that was available to them at that time of need, it only made sense to start the show early. So we began the show in March. We've done now 20 episodes. This is our 20th, and no better way to kick off this episode than to really talk about the Chamber and talk about our organization and what we do and how we interact with local businesses. So I'm thrilled to be joined by three of my very good friends. These are people that I get to work with on a daily basis, and I'm thrilled to have them be part of the show. First is Christine Burton. She is a director with the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. She's also a sales representative with Royal LePage Community Realty. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Jennifer. Good morning.
Thank you for being on the show. And I said that I work with you on a daily basis. I don't see you face to face, and now it's a little less often because of Zoom, but we still get to be able to interact and talk because you are part of the board and you are chair of our marketing committee, and you're a valuable resource to our organization. So thank you for that, and thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
We also have Amanda Stewart, and Amanda is the person I see every day. She is the membership and events coordinator at the Chamber, and I'm thrilled to have you part of the show. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
Good. This just seems like a staff meeting, doesn't it?
It sure does.
And last but not least, Taylor Felix is also joining us on the show. She is the marketing and tourism advisor at the Chamber. Hi, Taylor.
Good morning, Jen.
Thank you. You have an excellent looking office.
Yes, I'm borrowing your office right now.
For the show.
Quiet spot.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. I love it. And I love that we're all here to be able to talk about something that I think all of you love.
Yes.
I love being a part of the Chamber. I love the work that we do. So it's fun to be able to have a show where we can focus on what our organization does on a daily basis. Christine, I'm going to start with you because I know you've been a part of our board of directors for many years. So what brought you to the Chamber?
Well, I started selling real estate in 2010, and literally months after I started my career, I joined the Chamber, and a year later, I became a director, and very glad I have, and have continued to be a director since then. The Chamber brought me into a group of people that is a great networking, both for me getting business, but also for me finding services for myself, because I need business cards, signage, etc. Or even in my personal life, you need services. I was fortunate to hire Amanda last year for my son and daughter-in-law's wedding. So that was super that I could get a wedding planner through someone I knew through the Chamber, and felt confident that I was hiring someone that was going to do a great job. So that's very important.
Right. You mentioned real estate. Tell me a little bit about your business. You said 2010.
Yes, I joined, got my license after years of being in the hotel industry, and which is a service industry as well. Love selling real estate up here. It's been crazy markets over the last few years, up and down. And then during COVID, it was a little scary. 2 months of pretty much not doing a lot. I think March and April were a very scary time, but May came and we hit the ground running again. It's been a whirlwind and haven't really stopped since then.
Well, it's interesting because I know as the pandemic hit for each sector, it really did affect them differently. Although we're all going through the same thing, it really did affect people very differently. And it's nice to hear that whirlwind and that busyness has come back to your sector.
Definitely. And I mean, we were considered an essential service. And there probably was people still working in March and April. I just had clients that weren't comfortable about going out. And even personally, I wasn't comfortable about going into someone's house not knowing. But now when I go in, I'm masked and I'm gloved, and you have to tell your clients, please don't touch anything. If you want something open, a door or cupboard, I do it with gloves, and I remember not to touch my face or anything like that. So it is very different than it was before. There's a little bit more concern for everybody, both the people that are selling their house and for your clients and yourself, definitely.
Right. I hope I'm not throwing a bit of a wrench in for your questions here, but you've talked over the years, you've talked to me about the hospitality industry, and having been in a different industry, it must be very relatable to you when talking to local businesses, because not only have you been in real estate, but hospitality and that sector, and being able to interact with other businesses, it certainly must be helpful knowing what they're going through.
Oh, totally. And a lot of my years in hospitality were human resources too. So I can relate to, the whole hiring, laying off, what do you do with your employees, and a lot of empathy for that. But yeah, and the hospitality industry is still being hit because there's a lot of people that don't want to go stay in hotels or go into restaurants and things like that. So I think they're probably one of the hardest hits, and even health clubs and things like that still will feel it, even though the rest of us are kind of back to some sort of normal, for sure.
Right. Hold that thought. I'm going to, I still want to ask you a few more questions, but I'm going to bring Amanda into the conversation now, because Amanda, you started not as being on staff, you started as a member of our organization, and then a board of director. So just want to find out kind of your history with the chamber.
Yeah, so very similar to Christine, actually. I became a member of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce in 2010 when I started my personal business. And it only made sense to me to progress to be a director. Obviously, being in the event field, I love planning events. I love executing events. I enjoy seeing community involvement at events. So it only made sense that I kind of put more eggs into the basket, into an organization that I belong to, essentially. I like knowing kind of the ins and outs, so it only really made sense for me. It's really changed in the last couple of years, which is nice. While there are some similarities as far as events and things that kind of happen annually, the overall makeup and focus of the chamber has certainly changed, which only then led me to have a much deeper respect for it, and then want to become even more a part of it. So when there was an employment opportunity that came available, it only made sense that I applied. And ever since then, things have really changed, obviously, with the chamber. We've been able to kind of move forward and really streamline what it is that we want to do and who we want to help and what the focus is and what the message is. And so that's been really great. And I've really enjoyed that part of it, for sure.
Talk a little bit about what you do. And I know that's kind of a loaded, it could take us right to the end of the show because you do a lot with the chamber, but in a nutshell, you're working with members.
So yeah, my role specifically is the membership and events coordinator. So technically on paper, I deal specifically with the members and bringing in new members, going through like an orientation kind of phase and making sure that they understand kind of what the chamber is on a whole, and then creating events, organizing events, making sure that all of those members are included in those events and understand what they are. But like you said, we are a team of 3 typically, bumped up to a team of 5 in the summer with a board of directors. And we all get to be included in absolutely all aspects of what happens in the office every day. I think that's why we are as successful as we are, is because at the end of the day, each and every one of us knows what's happening in the office at all times. So it's critical. I think that is what makes us as successful as we are, is that, we work well together. We understand that, while I may have a job, my job is only as good as the people around me, and theirs are as well. So when we work together, we win together. So that's the exciting part.
I love that. I love that analogy. It certainly has been a big change for us, and I think you remember just as well as all of us that, day in March where we had to send an email out to the board and say, I think we have to shut down for 3 weeks. Like, we can work from home, we can continue working, but the building is closing and we're not going to be in it. And, 3 weeks seemed like forever. And now, taping the show, it is the 9th of August, 10th of August, and yeah. One day flows into the next, apparently. But, 22 weeks later, we're still trying to adapt and pivot. But I'm pretty proud of the way that our organization has kind of pivoted and gone online. One example is the show, as is our meetings, as is everything else.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Now, as most of you at least know that work with me, I'm not the most technologically advanced. So, I struggled, I think, at the beginning, and as did others, of course. But I think with that struggle, it only made us realize that there are others out there that too are struggling. So, it really made us more aware of the fact that, this is an offering that we could very easily offer some of our members, get them on board, teach them how to do it, and then kind of set them free and allow them to do it in their own businesses. And if we needed to hold their hand a little bit along the way, that was totally fine. That's what we were there to do. So I think, especially when it came, when the focus was on the members, which it certainly was at the beginning, holding hands and rubbing backs and telling people that we're all in this together, and we're not leaving anyone by themselves, we're all going to move forward together, was one of the biggest wins, I think, for us. That is certainly some of the feedback that we've received, that, ultimately no one was being left behind. We were all going to, succeed and make it through this pandemic together. And look at us now, we're on the other side. Some of us are continuing to use some of the tricks and tips and pivots that we learned along the way. And, it's working. It's really working. So it feels good to know that.
Right. I agree with you. It's that whole technological thing that all of a sudden became at the foremost in what we needed to learn. And speaking of technologically advanced, let's bring Taylor Felix into the mix now.
Probably a good time to do that.
That is a perfect segue into Taylor and what Taylor does. If you want to figure out social media and technology, ask somebody younger than you, and that's what I've done with Taylor. Taylor, tell us about your role with the Chamber.
So I wear a few hats. My official title is the Marketing and Tourism Advisor, but IT and all of those kind of things is also in my circle. So I create, most of the time, I create content for both the Chamber and the tourism social media platforms. I create marketing materials for tourism and events and for the business community. I update and build the website pages. So one that we introduced last summer and that we've continuously updated is the tourism center or tourism portion of our website. That is discovergeorgina.ca. So that has a bunch of things on where to shop, where to eat, where to play. And I assist in the promotion of tourism in Georgina. And I answer all of Jen and Amanda's, how do I do this questions? How do I upload? Why isn't it uploading?
Doesn't work? I don't know.
Why is this not working?
That's right.
My computer's broken. No.
No, it's not. And you bring up a good point, because for anybody who's watching at home and they don't know, the Georgina Chamber of Commerce is also, they are responsible for tourism within the town of Georgina, tourism within Georgina itself. So while the town looks outside and brings tourism in to our municipality, once they are there, those are the things that we are responsible for. And that includes having a tourism center, having the website, having information available, and those brochures and information. And it really has been significant this year to bring that information online and make sure that it's available. One of the things you've worked tirelessly on is the menus, the restaurant information. It's not really a menu, but their openings and current operations. Does that send shivers up your spine when I mention the restaurant list because of how often we've had to change it?
No, because I figured out an easier way to update it. But at the beginning of the pandemic, we created a full list of restaurant lists and their operations because it was kind of confusing which phase people were in. So we created a giant list with, I think it's like 93 restaurants in Georgina. If you didn't know that, you're probably trying to count them in your head and didn't realize we had that many. That is why it's so complicated to update them. So it had whether they were open, their hours, whether they're doing delivery, takeout. So it was just kind of a checklist. So people could just look at the list and know that where they were going to eat that night. We had a lot of people tagging us on Facebook saying the Georgina Chamber of Commerce, because lots of people were asking what is open and where do I go to eat? So we still, to this day, update, even though we're in phase 3, a lot of the businesses are open and seating people inside as well as on their patios. We're still keeping that open because there are some businesses that are not yet open or just have just the patio, just inside, just so we have all different, all the restaurants are doing different operations. So we constantly update that. But yeah, it's a good resource for people to use in Georgina.
Right. You were mentioning social media. That is something that you were doing consults with businesses. And, as we move forward, taking that to online as well will be instrumental in making sure that people do get those resources available. But it really is kind of the basics of dealing with social media, correct?
Yeah. So like we were saying, it was kind of complicated for a lot of people to get online. A lot of people were not really sure how long it was going to last and wanted to create e-commerce and all that kind of stuff. So social media can be in itself can be very complicated. So that's why we offer social media consultations for our chamber members. It is free for our chamber members to come in, and I just scheduled our next session for August 25th at 10 a.m. via Zoom. And you can sign up on our website, georginachamber.com/events. It will be all virtual, and I do a small portion of people so that I can customize it just for that business specifically.
It's been difficult, and it's not just for us. We see that with a lot of our members, businesses and organizations who run events throughout the year who can't do that. And we certainly have seen that with what we're doing, moving to that online platform, making sure that we have virtual meetings and seminars and workshops that are available, and kind of pivoting to have that online model. We also have a marketing and membership committee, and Christine, you are the chair of that committee. That's been something that you've been a part of for many years. Tell me, what brings you, is that of interest to you? Has that always, have events always been interesting to you, and has that brought you to that committee?
I took a lot of marketing courses back in high school and university days, and it was something that did interest me, but also being in the hospitality industry, working in hotels, I did a lot of events and things like that. So yes, it was interesting. And it's been great because learning to do events that are out of the box sometimes, because not everyone can come to a breakfast meeting or an after 5. And some of the things that we've had to do now because of COVID have been really out of the box. And it's nice to see that we've been able to keep that networking portion of the chamber going even through these crazy times.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. And, certainly at the beginning of the year, we never expected we had a full lineup of events, including, our home show, including all of those things that we were planning months and months in advance to have them, go off without a hitch. And you certainly had to reevaluate all of the events that we were a part of.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking to see, canceling something like the Georgina, I don't want to call it the home show, the lifestyle show.
Yes.
Because we had done that for many years. I've had a booth in it. I've helped at the chamber booth. And it's a lot of fun. And it's a great way to see your friends in the community too, and network with people. So it was unfortunate because that was our big event every year.
Yeah. We were able to squeeze in one big event before the pandemic hit. We have always done a Women in Business event with the Squamish Berry Chamber of Commerce. This year was no different, although we moved it up to Georgina and took the lead on the event this year, turned what was typically a luncheon into a full day conference, and it became our Wonder Woman event. I know all of you were a part of it, painstakingly part of it. And I know we have pictures, a couple of pictures to show, but it certainly was a great event. Amanda, I'm gonna throw this one to you. Certainly bigger and better than we ever imagined it would be.
Oh, yes. Yes, I would agree with that statement fully. Well, we knew it was going to be big. It was sold out prior, so we knew that it was needed, and it was supported by both the business community as well as the women in business in Georgina and East Gwillimbury. I don't think we had time to think about the impact it was going to have. How's that? We were so busy organizing, and as a first time, trying to figure out if and where there were any flaws and fixing anything and making sure that everything was going to be flawless. I know myself personally, I really didn't get a chance to kind of stand back and think about what the impact was going to be on the women in the room or on myself personally. And watching it unfold that day was, it was excellent. It seems like it was a long time ago, that's for sure.
Time ago.
But yes, it definitely was a phenomenal day. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, as we talk about these events and we talk about how some were canceled, we really have been focusing on running an event and creating an event that is socially distanced and pandemic safe. And you really took the lead on this from the very beginning of creating a scavenger hunt and pulling resources and coming up with an opportunity for the chamber. And we had our scavenger hunt this past weekend. And again, I don't want to toot our own horn, but toot, because we had a fabulous event, and we were thrilled with the success of this past weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. We really were. I mean, to come off Women in Business, on such a high, and then, 2 weeks later be sent home and have to work from home and, watch not only our events, but all the events in the community be canceled and moved to 2021. It became very clear very quickly that, we need to create something. We need people to come out of their homes when it was safe to do so, in a way that was safe to do so. There was really an opportunity to move people around Georgina to places that they may have never been before, and, see something, learn something, do something. And the scavenger hunt really just kind of took off. And when we originally started talking about it, businesses were still closing. We weren't even in a phase at all, never mind phase 1, 2, and 3. We really were hesitant. We didn't know if this was something, A, we should do, B, people would be excited about. But when we launched it, we very quickly realized that we were on to something, which was nice. The business community definitely jumped on board big time. And so we definitely owe a big thank you to all of our sponsors and all of the people that got behind us and supported us. We had a goal of 30 cars we closed registration at 50 cars. And so needless to say, it was something that was needed, and we would certainly do again. How's that?
Taylor, are you ready for the next one?
Yes. So excited. Everyone's been asking about the next one. They're excited for it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I know normally, we come off of an event and go, okay, I think we need to regroup and just rest. And while it was busy and it was a lot of work, it was still nice to be able to end the day on Saturday and go, when's the next one? I think we can do this again. Yeah. Taylor, you were also a part of the farmers market, and so many people in this community have been waiting for the farmers market to open. Unfortunately, it was supposed to open last weekend, and because of the weather, the grand opening was delayed. We have 8 weekends, 8 Sundays where that farmers market will be open at the link, and the chamber is a part of it. So how was the day? How was their first and their kickoff to the farmers market this year?
It was amazing. It was so good. Typically, we are inside. So our every other summer, our office door is open at the back. We have a sign for people to come in. People wander through the building and come back out. So we haven't been outside in a couple of years. But yesterday, or past Sunday, just this past Sunday, we got to set up outside because the link is still closed. And it was, I never really saw the hustle going through, but it was so busy. It was amazing. It was hot, but it was really good. And a lot of the vendors had people lined up for hours, standing in line for veggies and cheese and meat. And it was great because all of these people are tourists and residents coming to shop local. So it was very good to see. And a lot of people coming up to our booth saying, this is why I'm here. I am here to shop local. So that is so good to see.
I love you that you mentioned that, because we're like a small gang. We all have our shop local shirts on. So it's nice to be able to see everybody in their shop local swag. And with just a few seconds left, I just want to mention to everybody at home that our shop local campaign has been a great success, and it's because of the folks at home. It's because people are listening not only to the words, and they certainly are buzzwords of shopping local, but the reasoning behind it, the economic stimulus, the opportunities to support your neighbor, the ways to build up local food. So we appreciate all of your help. Thank you so much, ladies, for being a part of the show today. Thrilled to have you here with us. And on behalf of everybody at Rogers TV, Georgina, and the Georgina Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on